Is it possible for a new age farm to be online? Is that a thing? Is like an online farm a thing? Come here, Steve. You want a bite? Come on. You can get old Freedom to come up here. Don't be goofy. Come on. Well, what's up, guys? This is Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and just out this morning trying to get all the chores done and get everything fed. It's gonna be a busy day. We got a lot to do, so trying to get everything done in the morning. But I've been doing a lot of thinking. So every once in a while, these ideas hit me, these things hit me, and I just can't help but want to share them with you guys. And it's just kind of like the world according to Daniel. Now, this is not like biblical truth or factual laws. It's just something that I've been thinking about that I want to share with you guys. So the other day I posted a video talking about our animals and what animals we have, and probably the possibility of transitioning away from a large herd of goats. And by that, when I said that, I didn't mean we were getting rid of all of our goats. A lot of people panic and they're like, oh my gosh, I love your goats. We're not getting rid of all the goats. We're just thinking about other livestock ventures that we could dabble in and what we could do that would be interesting for our audience. And that really got me thinking. In today's age, obviously farms have changed. I think we could all agree that a lot of farms have changed since the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Is it possible for a new age farm to be online? Is that a thing? Is like an online farm a thing? So I can't, shouldn't, and won't speak about other channels and what they're doing, what they have going on. So this is solely coming from the perspective of Arms Family Homestead online presence. So just to back it up a little bit, a lot of people go, okay, you call yourself Arms Family Homestead, but we don't see a lot of homestead videos anymore. I mean, we've got 1,000 videos on YouTube and several hundred on Facebook, and there's a ton of garden stuff and a ton of animals and animal husbandry and livestock and goats and all that. Obviously things evolve and change over time, and I feel like our channel's done that. It's changed with our interest in what we do and what we're up to. It's kind of become more of just a vlog of what our family's up to. But why did we call ourselves a homestead if you don't see us growing a lot of our own vegetables anymore? Which we still have a garden, we still have the greenhouse. We just don't do a lot of garden videos. But we do produce a lot of our own meat and things and fish and all that. But the word homestead honestly was just a buzz term on YouTube 5, 6, 7 years ago when I got started. That was the community that I fit into. I've never walked out in public and said we live on a homestead. It's a small farm. But just to draw it all together, we're going to talk about homestead, small farm, hobby farm, whatever you want to call it. They're all kind of the same thing. And evolving into that, can a farm be virtual? Can you have a virtual farm? And the short answer is yes, and let me explain. So all the way back when I was in high school, I was in FFA. Hopefully we don't have too much wind noise. And one of the big things in FFA is what was called, or FFA, if you're not familiar, is Future Farmers of America. It's an agricultural based curriculum in schools. Well, one of the big things in FFA to promote into the different degrees, you know, you got your green hand degree, your chapter, your state, you know, all these different degrees. But one of the things you have to do is what's called an SAE, and that's a supervised agriculture experience. So back then see, I graduated in 2002, so in like say the 1990s through the early 2000s, an SAE when I was in school consisted of, a lot of people had projects for show animals. Like my kids had their show heifers, so a lot of people, what they did for their SAE was they would raise the livestock, and they keep track of how much it costs to buy the livestock, how much it costs to buy the feed, all the costs going into it, and then what they made at the show, and then if they bred that animal and then sold the babies. You kept records of all that. Basically, it was a way for FFA and your ag teacher to teach you how to run a small farm business. Not all of them consisted of livestock. It could have been a vegetable farm. You could have been growing tomatoes and selling tomatoes, so you keep track of all the costs. Some of the projects were done in the classroom, in the shop, and it may have been a group thing, like building a livestock trailer, a flatbed trailer, and the ag class would kind of work together and keep up with all the costs and how much they sold the trailer for, and that could be your supervised agriculture experience. Well, it seemed like the buzz term back then in the beginning was just starting, was this whole entrepreneurship. This guy, look at this. Steve is really curious what I'm doing. But so there were a lot of SAEs at the end of the year when they were getting out all these awards that might have been like, you know, landscaping entrepreneurship. Basically meaning this kid was going out and starting their own landscaping business, keeping track of all the records of how much money they made and all that. But entrepreneurship was a kind of the buzzword, and it was new. This first place I'd ever heard it was in ag, of all places. Well, then there was also this buzz term that really got popular called agritourism. And if you're not familiar with what agritourism is, I took a few screenshots. I'll give you basically Google's or Wikipedia's definition of agritourism. Simply stated, agritourism could be the thought of as the crossroads of tourism and agriculture meet. Stated more technically, agritourism can be defined as a form of commercial enterprise that links agriculture production and/or processing with tourism in order to attract visitors onto a farm, ranch, or other agricultural business for the purpose of entertaining and/or educating visitors and generating income for the farm, ranch, or business owner. So agritourism was just starting to take off in the early 2000s, I feel like. And in our area, and what I saw agritourism, there's even examples on here. And we had a lot of these in our area and still do. So pumpkin picking patches, corn mazes, U-pick operations, where like a strawberry U-pick, where a farmer goes out and plants 2 acres of strawberries, you pay a fee to come on the farm and pick strawberries for yourself. Hay rides, cut your own Christmas tree farms, those are popular. Dude ranches, demonstration farms, agricultural museums, living history farms, even winery tours and wine tastings. So, could a farm be virtual? Well, let's go all the way back. So the reason, what stirred this in me is a lot of people, and I'm not complaining, but a lot of people get in the comment section on YouTube and Facebook and say, you're not a real farm, you just have some animals. That's not really what farming is. And I feel like that comes from years and decades of history. Yes, historically based in the United States, a farm was, you know, somebody in the 1950s went out and they had 100 dairy cows, and every day they went out in the morning and in the evening and milked their dairy cows, and they sold that milk. A truck came and they picked up the milk and they made their money from milk. Or they had 100 head of mama cows. They had a cow-calf operation, and every year they sold off their calves. They took them to an auction and got whatever was offered or whatever the highest bidder paid for. And then, or it could be, you know, crops. People were growing corn, cotton, soybeans, or vegetables, whatever it is. There was this picture in our brain of what a farm is and what a farm consists of. And then I feel like that evolved into hobby farms, which a lot of people would say we have a hobby farm. We've got animals that really don't have a big purpose for us other than we enjoy them. We have our livestock, like our beef that we process, and our goats that we raise and sell and process some. But then there's a lot of animals that are just here. So I feel like there's this stigma of what a farm is. We all have this picture in our head of, you know, the 1950s farmhouse and a red barn, and they've got 2 cows that they milk and some pigs, some chickens, and that's a farm, and they grow a garden. And that's not what farms really are today. In our world, for the last 20, 30, 40 years, most farms across America are huge monocultures of single crops, like 2,000 acres of corn, 2,000 acres of soybeans, and they're working off government subsidies where they get paid from the government to grow these crops. Or you have feedlots that mass produce tens of thousands of feeder steers a year to feed, you know, basically the grocery stores. And we all have this idea in our head that a farm is still that small mom and pop, grandma and grandpa out there, grandpa's in his overalls, and you know, that's what a farm is. But I feel like in today's evolving world with the internet, you know, there's also things like petting zoos. Like people go to petting zoos to see animals that they would never get to touch. So a lot of people live in cities or at bigger towns, and they go to a farm petting zoo and go out and feed the goats and pet a horse and ride the ponies and that stuff. I think in 2021, in the last few years, basically we've opened up this whole new world with the internet of agritourism. I truly 100% feel like our farm is agritourism. It's that entrepreneurial spirit of going out and going, okay, we live on the land. How can we use this land to produce a profit? I don't live in great farmland country. You can see behind us, there's a lot of trees. Yeah, we've got goats and we make a little bit of money with goats. Is that like a sustainable full-time income for us? No, and it's never going to be on this property. And you know, there's those so many farms that went from growing, you know, they had say 100 mama cows, but they also had corn and they also had hay, and they started, you know, in the fall doing those agritourism things where they'd have hay mazes and hay rides or corn mazes and pumpkin patches, and that brings all these people in who are paying money to support that farm that might have been struggling just as a cow-calf operation. But then that may bring in, you know, tens of thousands of dollars in 2 or 3 months at the end of the year for them. And that's incredible. That's awesome. That's what agritourism means, is a way of using your land to turn a profit. And I feel like that's what myself and probably a lot of other online creators have done. I mean, we're not just how-to channels. I'm not just a how-to channel. I've done a lot of videos on how to plant things and how to grow things and how to manage a farm and goats and all of that stuff. But it's evolved into this agritourism online farm. I really truly feel like we are being stalked by Rufus back there, but we're a internet-based farm. I don't have to have that 100 cow-calf operation to produce income for my farm. We're using these animals that so many of you enjoy. You guys love these animals just like they're your own. I know that because you send me so many messages and cards and comments about the alpacas and the donkeys and the different stuff. So I was not, I'm not gonna lie, I was not on board when my wife wanted to get the donkeys and the alpacas. It was just, in my mind, I was like, that makes no sense for a farm. But for you guys and what we're doing on the internet, and we're able to generate revenue online through these videos, it's worked out amazingly. It absolutely helps us. And I know I said I wasn't gonna talk about other creators, but I will a little bit. So my brother-in-law, Dusty from Cross Timbers Bison, Dusty's had this dream of having a bison farm since him and I were in college. When we worked together at the national park, there was a small bison herd there. There still is in our local national park. And one of our jobs was taking care of those bison. Dusty always had a dream of having a bison farm. And bison they're a neat animal, but they're not something that everyone gets to see. They're different, it's unique. And so he started getting into bison and learning about them and setting up this farm. And I was like, man, Dusty really needs to be documenting this on YouTube, on the internet, because it's interesting, it's cool, it's fun, it's different, it's something people don't get to see. And it took him a little while. It took a lot of thought and a lot of time, but he's done it. And I'm telling you what, that channel, Cross Timbers Bison, if you're not watching it on YouTube, you're missing out. It's it's awesome. It's really great. Dusty's great on camera. He's got a good personality, but those bison are so interesting to watch, and he's making a really good income to help support his dream. So the bison, yes, he can raise bison and sell them for a good profit, or he can raise them and sell cuts of meat for a profit, which that's something he's wanting to do. But that's only going to carry him so far on a small herd, where with the internet, he doesn't have to have 100 bison to make it a sustainable farm. He can do it on 20 possibly. And he's using that to educate the public about bison. And I mean, we're not experts on donkeys and alpacas by any means, like Dusty is with the bison, but he's a good steward for the bison industry. You think about it, there's bison farms scattered around the country, and there's bison in the national parks, and there's a movement to save the bison and to take their populations back up to where they need to be. And someone like Dusty, who is a small farm, who's only going to raise, 8 to 10 calves a year, he's not able to really help the bison herd numbers on his farm. But through the internet and agritourism and this online based farm, he can really do a lot for the bison industry. So I don't know, that's just my thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section. Am I onto something here? As a plane flies over, it never fails. Anytime I'm talking to a camera, a plane's gonna fly over. But I do read a lot of our comments, and I know 99% of them are positive, and then there's that 1% negative. But I think about this stuff a lot, and I wonder what's going on when people start bashing you for something or talking about your farm not being a farm. Is it really a farm, or are you just basing that off of the 40, 50 years ago notion of grandma and grandpa out there on a small farm? Now, those guys, those generations of people were amazing hard workers, and they literally lived off the land. If they didn't grow it, they didn't eat, because there weren't grocery stores on every corner. I have so much respect for those generations that lived off the land. Now, I want to teach my children to produce their own food and teach them how and teach them the ways of a farm, but I also know the land I live on isn't going to produce a full-time income for my family just based off the land. But what can I do as an entrepreneur who, as a student that came out of FFA and that supervised agricultural experience? When I was in high school, I didn't know that was really teaching me that stuff. I had no idea when I was in high school, and those goofy projects that I had to do, and all the stuff that went with it to keep track of it, and the silly little awards at the end of the year that everybody got. Dude, Rufus, bro, you're freaking me out, man. I'm afraid he's gonna march over here and spit at me. But I didn't know all that stuff was really teaching me true life lessons, and that's what I want for my kids. That's why we're getting into the show heifers and stuff. They may not be the best showmen in the world, but I want them to learn a lot of those lessons that I learned in FFA and 4-H and agriculture classes in high school that have stuck with me. I went through all that stuff because those were fun classes, and then I went to college and got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and was a trooper for 14 years and thought, all that ag stuff, I learned to weld, and it taught me a few things. But looking back over it, in entrepreneurship and becoming a small business owner, the mindset of a business, and taking this online video platform that I absolutely love. I love sharing with you guys, but I'm not gonna lie, we've turned it. Let's turn where we can watch Rufus and see what he's doing. I don't trust him. But we've turned this online video platform into a career for me, a business for my family, and it's taught me so many things, and it's made me realize so much that I learned back in FFA in high school about entrepreneurship, agritourism, the supervised agriculture experience that I thought was so silly back then. It really makes sense, and it's all kind of coming full circle for my family, and it just makes me so excited, so happy that we can now, in today's world, share our life on a video platform with the whole world, and use that to build a business for our family. And in the meantime, everyone gets to fall in love with animals and whatever we're doing. You know, like Houston and I going to the creek. A lot of people are like, why so many fishing videos? Why so many creek videos? And you know, it's what we enjoy. We have a lot of fun, but we get so much awesome feedback from our audience. I know it doesn't fit everyone, but you know, growing up, I watched Andy Griffith. And if you haven't seen the Andy Griffith Show, go check it out. It's an old black and white TV show. He had Andy as the sheriff, and Opie was his son. And you know, it was at the end or the beginning of every video, every show, you'd see him walking down the road carrying a fishing pole to the pond or whatever. And that's kind of the concept that I feel like Houston and we're like. I don't even like saying this, but we've been told this so many times. We're like the modern day Andy Griffith Show. And so many people use our silly little videos as their 15-20 minutes of peace from their day-to-day world, and that makes me happy. You know, we all live a crazy, busy, stressful life, and the hustle and bustle of the world gets to us. And it's awesome that people leave comments and send us messages that say, hey, I can sit down at the end of the night with my 5-year-old and we can turn on your videos, and it's like turning the stress of the world off. And that's one of the greatest feelings in the world for me, is knowing that people truly enjoy that stuff. So are we a real farm? Yeah, absolutely. Just because we have a few silly animals and we don't have a huge cow-calf operation or raise, you know, 200 acres of corn and soybeans and all that, farms have evolved. Farms can 100%, in my mind, be an internet-based business, whether you're selling an actual product or you're just selling peace of mind and an enjoyable 20 minutes for somebody to escape the world. I don't know. It's crazy. It's amazing. I love it. I love you guys. You're amazing. I know we get some terrible comments from time to time, but that's okay. It's just part of it. And a lot of people ask me, how do you deal with all the negative stuff? And the way I deal with it is the positive outweighs the negative about 90 to 10. Like, it's not even at all. The positives way outweigh the negatives, and that's fine. It is what it is. We're not gonna make everybody happy. There's no way anyone in the world is ever gonna make everyone happy. Like, Jesus Christ walked this earth as the only perfect person and was hated for it. Think about that. He never once sinned. He never did anything truly bad or evil, but was hated. There's no way the rest of us could ever reach Jesus Christ level, but here we are in a very sinful world. But anyways, I just wanted to get that off my chest, share that with you guys, and encourage you, if you live on a farm and you're trying to figure out ways to make that farm profitable, think outside the box, think outside the norm. You don't have to just sell fruits and vegetables and livestock or crops, whatever, to make a profit on a farm. In 2021, the internet is an open world ready for the taking. So guys, that's all I've got for today. I'm gonna get in the house, get some stuff done. We got a busy day ahead of us. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's kind of a long talking video, but every once in a while I just have those things I want to get off my chest and share with you guys. So anyways, we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.